Alpen Pharmaceuticals in association with Higher Secondary Principals Forum.
Hello students, and a very warm welcome to this lesson of Business Studies with me. My name is Teacher Annette Lobo and I am from St.Xavier's High Secondary School, Mapusa. I hope that all of you are keeping well and are keeping yourself updated with the latest lessons in Business Studies. So today, my dear students, we are going to proceed with yet another chapter in Business Studies titled Directing. So from this chapter, dear students, this is what we want to achieve, the learning objectives. After studying this chapter, you should be able to explain the meaning of directing and be able to understand the importance of directing in management. We will also be studying 4 elements of directing, namely supervision, motivation, leadership and communication. In supervision, we will learn the meaning of it as well as to understand what is the role and function performed by a supervisor. Next, we will also learn about the meaning of leadership and what are the qualities required to be a good leader. We will also brace upon the meaning of motivation in management and Abraham Maslow's need hierarchy theory of motivation, how that is relevant to us in management. We will also learn to understand the different financial and non-financial incentives used by management to motivate their employees. And lastly, we will look at communication, that is meaning, and we will look at what are the blocks, the barriers to communication that occur when we communicate, as well as we will look at how to overcome those barriers to communication. So let us begin now, students. We will divide this into 3 parts. We will begin with part 1, the meaning, importance of directing, the concept of supervision and concept of leadership. What do you see on the screen, students? Does it remind you of anything? I'm sure you have guessed it right. You can see someone seated on a chair looking like a film director, exactly. And you can see the scene right there, which is showing some actors trying to perform a particular act. What do we realize when a directing of a film is going on? The director is giving some instructions, guiding, supervising, motivating those actors to give their best while they are performing that action. He's not just sitting in the chair and watching what is happening. Sometimes, if you have seen behind the scenes the clips, you will see the director gets out from his chair, goes near the actor and actress and tries to depict how he is expecting the act to be performed. What is that, students? It is the act of supervising, instructing, motivating them to perform the task perfectly and to the best possible manner. That is exactly what a manager does in an organization. You, my dear students, are the future managers, the future CEOs of your company. And let us understand this very, very important task of the function of management, that is directing. So far, you have studied the function of planning, organizing and staffing. In the last chapter, you realized that staffing is hiring the required human element in the organization. But what good is it to hire the right people without telling them what is to be done? And that is exactly what directing is all about. It is telling what you want the workers to do, instructing them, guiding them, motivating them and putting them into action. That brings us to the directing as being the key managerial function of management. If you look at this image, take a look. Imagine the person in the red is leading the rest of his workers. And that is the role of a manager in an organization. That leads us to the meaning of directing. So directing refers to the process of instructing, guiding, counseling, motivating, supervising, leading and communicating. Please look at these words on the slide. They are highlighted in red. These are the key words that summarize the essence of directing. When we direct, what do? We are speaking, we are guiding, we are instructing. We need to communicate, we need to motivate our workers, we need to lead our workers in order to contribute their best to the organization in order to achieve the goals. So directing is simply put as telling the subordinates what to do, how to do, and seeing that they perform it to their best of their abilities. Sounds very simple? Sounds achievable? Yes, it is. With the help of the 4 elements of directing, you can be successful in directing your employees. So what does directing really involve, students? It involves telling people what is to be done and explaining to them how to do it. A teacher directs the students in the class when she is teaching the students, right? So also, if you look at in an organization environment, the manager needs to tell his workers what he is expecting him or her to perform. Otherwise, there will be doubts, there will be a block in the mind of the employee as to what is expected of him while he is performing the job. There may be some clarifications that he wants. And that is what directing involves, guiding and telling your subordinates and telling them what they are expected to do. It also involves issuing instructions and giving orders to your subordinates. When it comes to giving orders, students, I would like to say, what is better to do? Motivate your workers to do things or to order them? There are ways to get things done. There are ways to get things done, I am repeating. If I order you to do something, you may just about obey it, but not do it willingly from your heart. And that somewhere affects the outcome of that work. Can we say this in an organization? Exactly. If we order our employees, they may do the work, they may obey you. But are they willing to contribute it from their heart? Will it not affect the outcome? Indeed, yes, it will. Think about it. When we do things willingly, voluntarily, the outcome is going to be very different and much higher than just being ordered to do some work. How do we achieve this? How do we bring about the willing spirit of the employee? By motivation, by our leadership skills, we can motivate our employees to bring about that willing spirit in them. It also involves inspiring our subordinates to contribute towards the achievement of organizational goals. You supervise the activities. What is supervising? Teacher supervises, for example, students in the class when they are answering an exam. So also, when you are performing a work, your manager is supervising you so that he can indicate whether you are performing the job correctly or not. In case he finds that there is something which is going wrong, then under supervision, he or she will guide you to improvise those actions in order to lead you towards improvising your work. Providing leadership and motivation. We have seen that constantly, that in directing, we need these elements to be successful in directing. So let's move ahead with importance of directing. Is directing important? Definitely yes. What is the essence of directing in management? We will go through these points which are stated on the slide. So first one, helps to initiate action. Directing is that function of management that is going to help the worker to understand what he is supposed to do, what is expected from him. It is putting the plan into action, basically. Secondly, it integrates employees' efforts. There are so many employees in the organization. So it is very important to combine their efforts and lead them towards the fulfillment of the organizational goal. How can we integrate their efforts? We can integrate their efforts through our leadership, motivation skills and our communication skills. We can also look at guiding employees. Directing is important because we can identify what are the potentials of our employee, what are their capabilities, and motivate them to drive themselves up to the expected level and their abilities. So it's very important to guide your employees to fully realize their potential and capabilities. Going further, it facilitates introduction of required changes in the organization. We know that there are a lot of changes taking place in the organization. I'll give you an example, students. In banking, suppose we introduce the usage of technology in banking. Initially, you will find workers will resist that change because they are hesitant. What is that new environment going to be? Whether they can perform or no. They will have doubts in their mind. Some are not qualified to also apply that technology. How do we help them to overcome this anxiety? How do we help them to overcome this fear in their mind? Through the process of directing, that is leadership, motivation, communication and supervision, the 4 elements. We are going to help them bring about this change smoothly into the organization. And that is why we say that directing is important, because it helps to bring about changes. It helps the employee to accept these changes in the organization and cope with them. And lastly, it brings about stability and balance in the organization, ensures that there is a smooth functioning in the organization. So I hope that the importance of directing is clear to you. Let us proceed ahead, students. The 4 elements of directing are supervision, motivation, leadership and communication. We are going to learn about each of these elements separately, beginning with supervision. What do you see in the image right there, students? Yes, you can see someone scanning with a screen. He's looking closely to the employees. Well, that's not actually what a supervisor really does, goes in close, connect to, but what is he doing? He is observing work that is taking place in the organization. He observes the employee and tries to see whether the employee is performing his or her task in the required manner. Okay, so let us first understand the meaning of supervision. Supervision, please look at the words highlighted in red, which summarize the meaning of supervision. It implies instructing, observing, monitoring and guiding the subordinates at the workplace to ensure that the plans and procedures are implemented as intended. Highlighting the words observing, monitoring and guiding the subordinates. It also is a process of guiding the efforts of employees in order to accomplish desired objectives. So basically, what is the role of a supervisor, or what is the task of supervision? It is to instruct, guide and monitor what your subordinate is constantly doing. What is the importance of supervision? Why is it important in the organization? Consider so many departments, so many employees are working in the departments. There is a constant need to observe whether what they are performing is being done correctly or not. find that there is something going wrong, if you find that that person requires correction or training, then the supervisor will ensure that he clarifies doubts, that he makes the person to understand in a better way what is expected of him. So these points which are listed here highlight the importance of supervision. How does this question come for the board exam now? It can come as explain the importance of supervision or discuss the function of supervisor. Okay? So let's go through the points and understand what really is the importance of supervision. First and foremost, the supervisor maintains day-to-day contact with the employees. You agree? He is the one who is in most close contact with the employees, since he is making sure the work gets done. Right? He maintains a very friendly relation so that they feel that he is approachable if they have doubts, if they want some clarification, if they want to understand something better, they can feel that he is approachable. So friendly does not really mean that he just sits and laughs around the place. No. Friendly here means that he makes himself approachable to the employee so that the doubts can be clarified by them. He acts as a guide, a philosopher, a friend to the employee. This kind of assurance, this kind of confidence that he builds and the relation he builds with his subordinates helps them to come forward and clarify their doubts. Secondly, he acts as a link between the top management and the workers. The top management, they are framing the rules, they are framing the policies, they are framing the objectives. The supervisor is the individual who translates the meaning, who explains the meaning of those policies to the subordinates, to the workers. He ensures that whatever are the plans framed by the top management are going to be executed by the workers. Now that is how he is acting as a link on one hand to the top management, conveying the policies, the plans and objectives of the management to the workers. Secondly, he acts as a link for the workers to the management. And how is that? If the workers have any grievances, any problems that they have encountered when they are performing that particular task, then he is the best person to convey it to, so that he can pass on these grievances to the management, so that the same mistakes, the same errors, the same problems do not repeat, do not reoccur, and the management will be able to frame better policies and frame the objectives in a better way. Because finally it is the worker who executes the task. It is important to get a feedback from your workers to understand whether what the management planned was really executed in the desired manner or there were hurdles in the way. So the workers' grievances, the workers' problems, the workers' suggestions are taken up by the supervisor and conveyed to the management. This is how a supervisor will act as a link between the workers and the management. Now let's look at the third point, okay? Maintaining group unity amongst the workers. As you know, the supervisor is in close contact with the workers in the organization. Sometimes there are disputes, sometimes there are misunderstandings between the employees. So it is his role, it is his task to try and resolve those disputes, to try and bring harmony amongst those employees. Fourth point, ensures performance of work according to the targets set. Now, it is the task of the supervisor to make sure that the task is achieved within the time limit set by the management, ensuring that there are no wastages that are occurring, ensuring that if there are anything going wrong, he is going to ensure that the targets are met effectively. He provides good on-the-job training, okay, to the workers constantly. He's taking rounds. He's observing what is happening. He goes on a round, observes. If he finds that something is not up to the level, then he will convey it to the employees. He's a key role in influencing the worker in the organization, and lastly, he analyzes the work. He gives feedback to the workers. He appreciates their work through his leadership skills, through his communication skills. He is going to lead the workers to perform to their best. Interesting to note how important is the role of supervisor in accomplishment of goals. So hope that the concept of supervision is clear to you. Once again, the concept of supervision is instructing, observing and monitoring your subordinates. And we also look at overseeing the work of the subordinate and ensuring that they accomplish the organizational goals. We also looked at the importance of supervision, that is acting as a friend, philosopher, a guide, maintaining a link between the management and workers, providing on-the-job training, taking feedback, ensuring goals are accomplished, and maintaining group unity and providing on-the-job training to the workers. Okay, moving ahead now, students. Moving ahead, take a look at the screen. Try and identify these very famous individuals. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. By now you must have identified them. You're right. You can see Barack Obama, our very own Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. Then you have Donald Trump, the President of US on one side. Then I have another image where you can see Mother Teresa, you can see Nelson Mandela, you can see Gandhi, and of course now look at the screen image below, you can see our very own MS Dhoni and very famous Virat Kohli. What is so common about all of them? The common factor between all of them are, yes, they are all very famous leaders in their own profession or own right. Very famous leaders having their own ideologies, leading in the forefront. That takes us to our concept of leadership in management. What is the significance of leadership in directing? What is the meaning of leadership? We will look through that in our next concept. So leadership involves leading people, influencing them, commanding people and guiding them. See, what does a leader basically do? A leader influences the person to voluntarily strive towards the task. That is one of the major things that a leader does. Nobody is forcing, but creating a voluntary spirit in you. So leading people and influencing you in such a manner that you perform the task voluntarily in the organization. So you are a manager, student. You are a manager in your organization. You need to have these leadership skills so that you can influence your employees in the organization so that they may voluntarily work towards the accomplishment of goals. So we will look at these two statements given. Leadership is the ability to influence people to follow in the achievement of specialized goals, or it is an activity of influencing people to strive willingly towards group objectives. Now, looking ahead at the next slide, again, what I have highlighted in red, take note of that, students. In the management context, what is leadership? Let us see. Let us read further. Leadership is the ability of an individual by which he influences the behavior of employees in such a way that they start working automatically at their full capacity with their own will without any pressure from superior. I'll give you an example, students. What is better, if you take your book and study on your own, or someone forcing you to sit and study? Well, you know the outcome, students. When we do something on our own willingness, then our mind is much more focused in that work as compared to being forced to do something. Okay? When you are pressurized, obviously it will not help you to give your 100%. But willing spirit, the voluntary spirit, is very important because it brings about your 100% potential while performing that task. And that is the influence that a leader should have on his employees. So it is a process of influencing the behavior of your employees by making them strive voluntarily towards achievement of organizational goals. So I hope you are clear with the meaning of leadership. Moving ahead with the qualities of a good leader. What are the qualities that a leader needs to possess? There are many qualities, students. We are going to look through these qualities listed, and let's go through it one by one. Okay? The very first quality is physical features. Now, when we say physical features, don't get to think that you need to be extra beautiful or extra handsome to be a good leader. Physical features here would imply how presentable you are, how you carry yourself forward, having appropriate outlook, your body language, your presence, okay? Your height, weight, the way you carry yourself forward. Knowledge. Does a leader require to have knowledge? Of course. You are going to lead your employees. You need to have knowledge about the work. You need to be able to understand what you are speaking. It makes some sense to them. So having a background knowledge is very important to be a leader. Integrity, that is your honesty, your sincerity, and your initiative skills, that is taking the first step without being told. That is a leader. He doesn't need to be told. He will always initiate. He will always take the first step forward. If you look at that particular image as well, the leader is one who leads the way and shows the way. Then comes your communication skills. In leadership, definitely you require communication skills because you are using communication to influence the behavior of your workers. So having good communication skills is very important to be a good leader. Self-confidence. You should have the confidence and motivation skills. You should know how to motivate your employees in the organization. Constantly they may require to be motivated to do the work. Now next one, decisiveness. What is decisiveness? Being firm with your decision. Don't waver. Once you take a decision, be firm with it. It shouldn't be like 10 people talk behind your back, so you get shaken up and you say, oh, they are talking ill, so let me now change my decision. Will you just shake and waver by the wind? Shouldn't be like that. A leader is someone who is decisive. He is firm with his decision. First and foremost, analyze, think, and then once you make a decision, then stand by it. Be firm about it. And lastly, look at social skills. A leader requires to be friendly. He requires to have interpersonal skills and be able to communicate with his subordinates. This friendliness that he creates makes it approachable, makes an approachable environment where his workers can also speak to him, his subordinates can talk to him. So once again, let us look at the list of the qualities of a good leader. The physical features, knowledge, integrity, initiative, communication skills, self-confidence, motivation skills, decisiveness and social skills. So students, in this first part of this chapter, so far we have understood the meaning of directing, the importance of directing, the meaning of supervision, the importance of supervision, meaning of leadership and the qualities to be a good leader. I hope that you have understood the meaning and concepts of all these terms effectively.
Prudent Scholars, powered by Lupin Pharmaceuticals.
अब आपकी सुरक्षा आपके हाथों में। ल्यूपी सेफ हैंड सैनिटाइजर, आपका और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स का फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस। अब आपकी सुरक्षा आपके हाथों में। ल्यूपी सेफ हैंड सैनिटाइजर, आपका और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स का फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस। अब आपकी सुरक्षा आपके हाथों में। ल्यूपी सेफ हैंड सैनिटाइजर, आपका और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स का फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस।